The Put Me in Coach podcast. Okay, Dolphins fans, like, comment, subscribe. Football fans, like, comment, subscribe. We're getting into it. I'm dressed in all black here. We are having a funeral today, and it is a funeral for the Miami Dolphins. Here lies that era. It's over.
Yeah. I told you it's over.
You did, and we're going to get to it because I'm going to give you a whole basket of flowers on this take.
Oh.
But I wanted to talk about it because I was watching the Baltimore game that they played last Thursday night, and I was thinking to myself, watching, Mike McDaniel come off the field at halftime, and the fans are booing, and it's like things are being thrown on the field. There's like fire McDaniel chants and cutaways to the crowd of a guy like with a bag on his head. It's gotten to that level now. And I find the collapse of professional sports teams happening in front of our eyes one of the more heartbreaking yet fascinating things that happens in pro sports.
Sure.
Because every year we see it, a new team or a series of teams, there's that game, there's that moment, there's that thing. And this year has kind of been a vicious cycle of those moments for the Dolphins. Obviously, they fire Chris Grier. That's done. The writing's on the wall for Mike McDaniel. We'll talk about a litany of details that I have that I want to get to about like what happened here and is there any hope next year go forward. But long story short, man, the reason why I wanted to talk about this team is because we sat here when we were first starting this channel a year and some change, maybe a year and a half ago at this point. And the Dolphins were coming off of the 2022 and the 2023 campaigns, which were really good seasons. I mean, they didn't pull it off in the playoffs. We saw kind of the December flame out thing that like they've grown notorious for, but they had really good years those years, double-digit wins, like 72 points. The Tyreek Hill was wide receiver one. Achane became kind of a household superstar. Tua, who gets a contract. More on that later. And going into 2024, there were still expectations. People will forget this now. Hindsight's always 2020, and people will forget that people like myself even were like, maybe this team makes the playoffs. Maybe there's another gear. Maybe they just need another vet on defense, whatever it may be. And you sat across from me, same way that we are now, except for you were actually, mic'd up at home, whatever. And you said, hell no, this team sucks. The unraveling is going to happen. This Tua contract's a disaster. This Tyreek contract's a disaster. This Waddle contract's a disaster. Where's the O-line? Where's the secondary? And to be honest, man, it's aged painfully, beautifully for everybody else, your take. So I want to get your thoughts on like what led to that line of thinking at the time and where you are now on the Dolphins. Like what is your feeling about all of this right now? Because it's been noisy.
Well, Exhibit A. This is Tua. You gave $55 million to this lemon here.
Yes.
And that was your first mistake. Your second mistake was that this lemon that you gave $55 million to, you had him surrounded by a really good offensive line in 2023. You let two of those guys, you let both guards walk. Then this year, your left tackle retires abruptly before the season, Teron Armstead. And you're left with a guy who's got, we've been saying it for 3 years, but it still is true to this day. Like the wrong hit is going to end that man's career. Like we can only see him so many times seize up and get hit and do this. And I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, you're talking about like another human being, right? Like I have no personal vendetta against the Tua Tagovailoa. I just don't think he's a very good quarterback, but that doesn't mean he's not a very good person. You hate to see that. You hate to see that, like, what is the long-lasting effects of this? What are his wife and kids going to have to deal with? Like, you start asking yourself those questions, and it's like, man, is this really worth it for a guy who's just suboptimal at his craft? I think that everything was 20. I mean, we said it back then. 2023 was the year. If they were ever going to do it, it was going to be that year. They were really good that year, and even then, they still didn't close out the division. Like Josh Allen and the Bills came in and won the division in the final couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But, good defense, good offense, yada, yada, yada. I mean, listen, man, I don't even think Stephen Ross is a bad owner per se, but what Chris Grier did to this team over the last 2 years is it should be like a jailable offense. I mean, honest to God, you let your guards walk. You keep investing big money into like your secondary, but not, I guess you're investing in your O-line, but your D-line, but it's kind of like uninspiring. You know what I mean? Like, you just traded Jaelan Phillips. He never really lived up. You traded for Bradley Chubb. He never really lived up. You gave Jalen Ramsey a bunch of money, and then you sent him to the Steelers in return for Minka Fitzpatrick, who you already had traded once upon a time, and then you will bring him back, and then he was apparently the Cowboys were closing in on getting him yesterday. Like, it just, none of it makes sense. It's just like, what is the plan here?
Right.
And
right. Well, and can I interject quickly here too with the contract stuff? I think something's really interesting about this too. And this is this is only to play off your take with the Chris Grier thing, because I think you're spitting facts right now. Paying Tyreek the first time when you traded after he went to Kansas City. I was just going to get into that. Yep. Made sense. It made sense. You needed juice. Yes, you wanted to take a swing. Just brought in this like offensive guru from San Francisco, the San Francisco tree, and like all that stuff made sense. It worked fine. Why'd you pay him again? You were never going to get anything out of that, and especially
why'd you pay Jaylen Waddle that money? Why did you pay? Did you know what I mean?
Well, they paid Jaylen Waddle that money, and when you pay a receiver that money, like they gave to Waddle, and who has a first round draft capital that you invested in, right? Not some other team's first rounder. You drafted him, top 10. You're making a commitment by saying, you're our number one wide receiver, Jaylen Waddle. Like, here's the money, 100%. Here's the contract. So then at that point, you move on from Tyreek Hill right there.
Yep.
But no. And then even yesterday, we find out that the Denver Broncos were this close to a deal for Jaylen Waddle yesterday. It just didn't, the asking didn't match up with what Denver wanted.
They wanted a first rounder.
Right.
That's insane.
Because in their mind, he's a number one wide receiver. So what does that make Tyreek Hill?
But he's never shown that.
Right. No, but anyway, go ahead, because I don't want to interrupt you too much.
Well, I know. No, you're good. I mean, that's basically what I was just going to say right when you cut me. Like, I was going right into that. Make it make sense. You paid Tyreek twice. I think you even didn't they restructure him again this year?
Yeah, because he just made a stink about it, not because he earned a better deal last year. He was bad last year.
Have some balls. I would have told him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. We're trading you to the Ravens. Goodbye.
Well, the writing was so on the wall. It was like Tampa Bay, Antonio Brown, where it was like, okay, we got those couple of years. He was incredible in 22, and he even upped it a notch in 23. We blew it in Kansas City in that away game. That game was never close. That cold weather game in Kansas City in the playoffs and last
15 or whatever it was.
Yeah, last year, the year before that. Yep. And they come in last year, and I mean, Tyreek was like a shell of himself. It made no sense. And that's not, we haven't even gotten to the Tua of it all yet, which we will. But you're right. I think the roster building component of Chris Grier, what a fucking nightmare, frankly. Just what?
Yeah, he was an all-time bad GM.
Right.
But the problem is that what GM is going to want to come in and deal with this? You know what I mean? And then for some reason you don't fire Mike McDaniel, and it's like, well, we're going to reassess at the end of the season. No, dude. If you're going to bring in a new GM, you can't have the GM acquire this coach and this quarterback. This GM's got to come in and fire sale everything.
They won't be acquiring this coach, let's be honest. But I want to get into kind of the weird thing about this quarterback, because one of the big things that you and I both banged on about, and it seems funny now to say this, but we did last summer right when the Tua news broke, we made a Dolphins video. We were like, bad move. Don't this contract to Tua, this is a fail. F, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we and what's funny to say,
a lot of backlash for it.
We did, and it's crazy because now it's everyone's like, well, yeah, duh. But that even last offseason, going into last year, people were like, you're crazy, you're wrong. Tua's elite. Look at his efficiency metrics. Look at his accuracy. Here's the thing. Obviously, Tua sucks now. We all kind of agree. This, at least Tua in Miami, this rendition, he's not the guy. I think it's that's over, of course, and the contract is a fail. I just want to get into some nitty gritty details about Tua and why I think that maybe next year it might have to be a Sean Payton, Russell Wilson situation with whoever comes in. They might have to keep him next year because 2026.
Well, who are you going to get?
Well, in 2026, he's owed $56.4 million. 27, he's owed $53.4 million. And wait for it, because they backloaded this fucker. In 2028, he's owed $65.8 million. So I thought about this and I thought, okay, what's a recent situation where something like this has happened and a team's like made this work? Brock Osweiler in 2017 from the Houston Texans to the Cleveland Browns. The Houston Texans gave Brock Osweiler a truckload of money, like an absurd amount of money. And it was a huge fail. But they traded him to the Cleveland Browns, and they had to include a second and a sixth in that trade to get the Cleveland Browns to take that on. A second round pick they ended up using on Nick Chubb. So it did work out for Cleveland kind of. But we're looking at a serious situation here if you're a Miami fan and you're thinking that they're going to move off from Tua. Not with this money. And when you think about the possible landing spots for Tua, got teams like the Raiders come to mind, teams with some talent that might want to move on from their bridge to a new bridge. Yeah, except for Kyler Murray is going to be available. And Kyler Murray's money is way more like movable than Tua's is. It's not as ridiculous as Tua's is. It's not as it's not as recent as Tua is. And I think from player to player, I think the Las Vegas Raiders could sell Kyler Murray to the fan base a little bit. You can't sell Tua. We're all out on Tua. There's still Kyler believers. There's still people that, no offense, like a little low IQ football wise, that are going to see Kyler on a new team and be like, yeah, I just think it was the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals effed it up, which is true to some degree. Tua, we don't believe in him at all. And there's the concussion factor, which you beautifully mentioned, that like for me, I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I don't think there's any way out. So even next year, you're going to have to draft the quarterback in this year's class or next year's class. But next year, your starting quarterback is going to be Tua Tagovailoa because you can't. No one's taking that money on right now. Not for a player that you just don't believe
in this quarterback draft class is buns.
Yeah, so maybe next year, maybe you do kind of the reverse New England Patriots thing, and you take Will Campbell this year and then Drake May next year if you can. You can figure out a way to do that. But that's going to be their only hope, man. And I just don't. Like, who are their assets? Like, who are their guys that were like, Chop Robinson?
Nobody. They have to fire Sale. I mean, they do. They have to fire Sale. It's the only thing you can do. You have to get rid of all your, you got to waive Tyreek. You got to probably move on from Waddle. You might be able to find somebody to take on to his contract if you eat the majority of it. But I'm with you. I don't see. I mean, who's doing it? Who needs a quarterback for real?
I think the teams that do will find options that are more passable. Yeah. Like there's no upside really with Tua Tagovailoa as your bridge. Like there just isn't. Not financially, not health wise, not in terms of play we've seen. And look, I wanted to talk about this team because again, I think it's just so fascinating. It really is NFL not for long because 2 years ago, I mean, this team put 72 points on Sean Payton's head top. And we were like, is this the best offense ever? Like, no joke. Yeah. These are real conversations. There's clips online. You can find them of people being like, have we ever seen anything like this? And, we're in November 2 years later. We're talking 25 months later. We are talking about this team as maybe, coming up as the worst team in football this year. Top 5 draft pick. Coach going to be fired. GM fired. Quarterback sucks. Roster stinks. Like it's like, wow, it happened so fast. And my heart breaks for Finns fans because I know that you guys did have a squad. Like it wasn't real. We never believed in them to win the Super Bowl, but man, they were playing like really good football offensively, and it's just everything's done. So I wanted to talk about it because I'm watching that game on Thursday against the Ravens and just looking at Mike McDaniel's body language and looking at the players and you're like, oh my God, it's over. Like even though it's not my team, there is a sadness that I feel on a human empathy level of like, man, like seeing a team unravel in real time and like seeing a dead man walking like Mike McDaniel and seeing this quarterback like Tua, like kind of his career, he's never going to have the career that like Tua fans imagined. It's over. And seeing all that stuff happened is like, it's just a sadness to it. And I wanted to talk about it because I think maybe, you and I are on the same page that they're going to have to like really fire sale
It's
and
a full,
rebuild that.
yeah.
But where do you go?
It's a full rebuild. But the problem is like you really got to nail this GM thing. You really do.
Right.
You cannot miss again. You can't miss again because this has been a disaster. And who knows, the new up and coming GMs or assistant GMs right now, who's good, who do you go get? I have no idea.
Well, you never know. I mean, we a lot of times we don't even know these guys until we see it play out in their new situation, right? Like these guys, there's someone right now working for the Packers that is going to get hired by them and we're going to be like, oh, this guy's cooking. But even then, we're not going to know for 3 more years, are we? Really? Like, it takes 3 years to judge a GM in my book.
100%. Yeah, no, it sucks. I mean, I feel for Miami. I'm a Floridian now, so I stay loyal to my Floridian teams, but I can't. I drove by Hard Rock yesterday. I was in Miami yesterday. It's a cool city, but it's not a cool team. It's not a cool team. It is a bummer.
No, it's not.
It's just a bummer right now.
Yeah,
but it's got all the juice to be like. When the Dolphins are good, it's good for the NFL. You know what I mean? Like cool colors, cool city. Like they just haven't been good for 20 years. They haven't been like real, not since Dan Marino. It's like they have the same problem that we had in Detroit, which is like you have like the people wearing the Barry Sanders jerseys for 25 years because nobody was worth it. Nobody was worth putting else on.
I don't think they've won a playoff game since Dan Marino. I'm pretty sure they're like one of the few
I don't
teams
think they have either. That's what I'm saying.
Hasn't won it since we were like in diapers, like a playoff game, a singular game in the playoffs. Which
they need I
think does give credence to your catchphrase, like you can't overcome bad ownership. And I know
no, you can't.
I know that we don't view him as the worst owner in the league, but obviously something's wrong here. I mean, he can't keep fielding the wrong ball club every year.
I think he's too involved. Like he was trying to court Brady over there. He was telling Flores to throw games. Like it's like, bro, let us do our thing.
Step back. Yeah.
Fully.
And I'll leave you with this, man. It is kind of funny because, Brian Flores was right. Everything that he got ran out of town with pitchforks for being a bully and, oh my God, he's an asshole. He's a jackass. Screw this guy.
It's usually how it works.
Looking good in the light, my friend.
Yeah, looking great.
Yeah, better job for Brian Flores, better opportunity for Brian Flores, better reputation at this point in the league. And I think every single thing that we criticized him for a couple of years ago when all that stuff came out, because Tua was doing podcasts instead of whatever, it doesn't matter. But, it all looks funky now from Tua's perspective because it's like, I'm not sure you can play in this league, doggo. And Brian Flores will be a defensive coordinator for a long time to come, and he will be sought after.
Yes, he will.
I don't know that we need to see him as a head coach. That's not, that kind of coach is not necessarily my cup of tea as a head coach, but as a DC, he's up there with the best of them. So it's interesting, man. Dolphins fans, like, comment, subscribe. Give us your thoughts. I want to hear from you guys. Do you have optimism, or is this kind of, are we entering New York Jets territory? Because I think we are, unfortunately. So
I
don't know. And Jets just ran a fire sale and got a lot of first round picks coming up. They'll mess that up, of course. But the potential is there again to buy in. I can't wait to see how them boys blow those picks.
It's coming. It's coming.
Can't overcome bad ownership, my friend.
No, you cannot.
I'll see you next week we'll get back in studio and we'll get some more content out. So see you soon. Bye.
All right, brother.